was muted because I was banging on the table like a.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are here on Focus on You with Phil and Oscar, and our guest today is Eric, the Credit Man Stuerkin. What's going on?
Yo, guys, the Credit Man Stuerkin. Sturk, they call me Sturk.
So yeah,
I guess the storm. I don't know. We're in New York. We're in Jersey and New York. Did you guys get hit? We got some rain, but nothing crazy.
But we got rain at about 6 o'clock this morning. Now we got a little in between, and then the big rain's supposed to hit after 5.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, nothing big over here either. You know, we got some rain, and that was.
We've had rain before.
I like a little bit of rain. But Eric, tell us, man, what's going on in the credit world right now?
Well, I guess the big thing is, and we'll see what happens today. We all know about the eviction status changing, right? For a lot of renters out there. That's a big topic that's going around. Oscar, we discussed this before, but the reality of that happening, it's time to start preparing for, I don't want to say the worst because we had time to prepare for that, but a lot of that stuff hopefully doesn't affect your credit, depending on, some of the other things that are in that house. If you get evicted, you'll lose everything that's in there. So you got cable boxes, you got some other things that some of the utility companies might, come after you for in the future. But pay attention to that for sure. Because a certain amount of time goes by, they'll come after you and add a collection to your credit report. And you surely don't want that to happen, especially if you can be proactive. So depending on your status of where you are with your bills with, all your utilities, the eviction is going to end it. And then you got to take it from there. So, maybe even go out and start, depending on what your, goal is, but some of your mail, and hopefully you have a spot to go, will be forwarding. So you get a lot of those bills, and a lot of those bills you can set up on email also, auto drafts and a lot of that stuff. So, make sure you're on top of those bills if you get evicted and your mail that comes in. But, electronically, I think I wouldn't say we're all, but a lot more stuff is now covered. So, nothing worse than a collection on something that you should have been paying for anyway.
Yeah.
How long does that stuff last on? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Oscar.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. And I was telling Phil my section program a couple of weeks ago was on, are you legally prepared for what could come? And I didn't know whether or not this was going to be, the moratorium was going to be lifted or not. So that's what my section was, is pay attention to what's going on. Are you protected legally from everything else going on? And now add on this eviction notice. Now what do you do? If you don't have qualified legal help, you're on your own.
Yep. Yeah. And again, we don't know what's going to happen. Supposedly I heard today they're going to try to extend it or something more, but unless they start to help out some of these landlords, that, it's a downward spiral for that, whole business of renting. It's just seemingly crazy. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, what is it? I don't know. What are some of the services that you offer, like as far as in your field that can help, advise, they can help somebody kind of balance things out?
Yep. So in our world, it always becomes what's on your current credit report, right? That's a good snapshot of what's on the report. Mm-hmm. And then really saying to you as a consultation, where are you? I can see what's on the report, but what's going on? I can't see evictions. I can't see any of that. I can't see if you're late, at least too late on all your utilities we just spoke about. But, we don't provide legal advice on eviction stuff. I can refer out to certain people. I'd sure as hell, send it to Oscar to get into that battle of what happens after the eviction moratorium. But, we've had plenty of time to, kind of prepare for that. So if you are getting evicted, just make sure you're ready to go, because once it goes to the courts and the eviction it could be there already. Once it's rubber stamped, there's only a certain amount of time before you do get served. And within like a 24-hour time frame, if everything's not backed up, I don't know, what's going to happen going forward, but you're done. And if you don't, leave, they're going to get you out, and they're going to change the locks. Mm-hmm. So, your locks you're not going to be able to get your stuff. So again, being prepared for this, it's, even if they extend it, just know that, it's good news, but don't sit back there and make it so that when they lift it, that you're going to lose everything.
It's going to be lifted. There's no way about it not being lifted.
Oh, it's
just a matter
eventually
of
going to be
when.
lifted.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a matter
yeah,
of
for
when.
sure.
And it's like everybody that waits till April 14, to file their taxes at 11:59. It's going to happen. You have to be prepared. And
Yep.
part of the things that we talk about, always hire the experts. Make sure you're prepared for what's coming up. And this is going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people. They're like,
Yep,
I never have to pay my rent again.
Yep. And in this case too, you have a land, you say work it out with your landlord, but at this point, if you haven't been paying that long, what's going to happen is because rentals are it's tight, just like the purchase market, they can get 30% higher for what they want on rent for somebody else. So you haven't paid your rent forever and ever. And if you haven't spoke to your landlord in between and you're just dodging it and you're just living by what's under the moratorium, what do you expect? If you haven't had a conversation with your landlord, or there's certain things, of course, that you can do, but you got to be proactive, because once it's locked and those locks are changed, you're not getting your stuff. That's it. It's finished.
Sheriff's coming in, changing the locks, and everything goes on the curb.
That's it. So I don't know if you can be more proactive than what Oscar said, and there's certain things to do legally. That's something that I'm not the expert in, but I can tell you, once things start to hit your credit report, there's a variety of, between late payments, collections, charge-offs, all of that stuff that we look at. And what's nice about the bureaus is they have to follow the law. And a lot of times in that following of the law, not so much them, but the creditors, they don't do everything they need to do. And knowing what they need to do and, holding them to that letter of the law is what we do. We've been doing it for 16 years. 95% of our business comes referred by mortgage people, real estate agents, people within the industry that are looking, at a credit report at some point for some sort of financing. And that's our clientele. In 16 years, I like to say my wife's a 7-time client, and I laugh. She, when she doesn't watch, so maybe she watches social media live stuff. I don't know. But I tell her all the time, I use you as a reference. She pays her bills, not when she wants, but, sometimes she travels and she'll misplace a bill and, kind of that kind of deal, or you get a collection from a medical bill that was $60 and you didn't expect it, not to be covered by the insurer. And that happens. At least now, since like the last 2 years, they change it. So they got to wait 6 months before they put it on your credit report. So a collector can come to you and try to get the money, which is awesome. If your insurance company and you're fighting back and forth, doesn't pay it, at least it's not going to screw up your credit report, and your insurer will pay you for paying that collection. But you have 6 months, so don't hide on that medical bill for more than a few months and pay it, and then go back with your insurance company. But things happen, life happens, and a lot of times we're doing a lot of stuff, especially now with school going back and a lot of things happening in eviction status. And I think I heard today that whether it's Jersey or New York, they're doing something with the extra $300 that's ending September 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for the unemployment. Yeah.
Is that also in New York, or just Jersey, or is it both?
I think it's both. I think it's all around. Yeah.
Yep. So
Yes.
that's going to spark people to get back to work. They're going to get busier. And, if you have certain bills, I always say to everybody, there's certain bills that report, there's certain bills that don't. And if you can't make your payments on time, the ones that report are most of the time revolving debt or installment debt, cars, credit cards, any of that, any of your utilities, from electric bill to gas bill to cable to cell phone, they don't report. And
they also shut you off real quick. So
yeah,
they don't have to report.
You get a couple months before they shut you off. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, that's better than not to pay them than not pay a credit card that you're going to have the money to pay both at some point. Go late on in the utilities, pay the late fee, because it doesn't affect your credit score. Where if you don't pay a credit card, if you don't pay a car payment, let's say, which is an installment loan, and the difference between installment and revolving, just for a little education, revolving debt changes. So your monthly payment, that minimum you make, changes based on your principal. An installment loan doesn't change, but an installment loan hurts a lot more if you go late. So if you're going to choose and you don't have the money to not pay a bill, right? Let's do utilities first, then stick with a credit card, then stick with an installment loan. Because if you do the opposite, installment loan sometimes is 70 to 100 points. Credit card's usually 30 to 50 points. One tip, one Sturk tip for the day so far.
So, Eric, quickly, I have another question for you, because I spoke to a friend of mine, and he was telling me, and I want to hear your opinion on this. He says he doesn't use a bank account to pay his bills. He uses his credit card to pay his bills, and he pays back the credit card. What kind of how does that affect, if I should start running my MO the same way, how does that affect my credit report?
Well, what's going to happen is on a credit card that you're paying the bills, right? Credit cards only report once a month. So depending on your balance, if it's low enough to the available utilization, it's really not going to hurt it. But let's just say you have a $2,000 limit and each month you use it to pay certain bills. And now you're at 2,000 and you have 2,000, that's your what you have available. So you're at 100% utilization. And now let's just say your credit report reports that information. Your score is going down. So it's not a good thing if you're maxing out your cards. It's an okay thing to do. And if you get points and all that other stuff for using your credit cards, all the power to you. But just remember that. And again, if you're not looking for any financing, or if you're not in the mode of, having to need credit, it's not such a big deal. But remember, if you're going to do that, you want to keep it below 30%. Once you get above that and you report, and the credit card does report, if you're at 50 or 70 or 100%, the higher the worse, your score is going down. And, again, it's okay if you're not looking for stuff because it's going to come back, say, the next month when you pay that bill off. But just know the cycle of when they report, if you're going to do that as an option, because I'm assuming he's doing that so he can get points, right?
Right, correct. Points and miles and things like that.
Yeah, so he's doing all that stuff, which is cool. Just realize that, when they report, if you have a large balance, your score is going down. If it doesn't affect you, but think of this, sometimes you might not say to yourself, I don't need any financing. Here's the only problem with that. If your score drops to a certain level, your other credit cards will get an alert. And if your score drops below a certain threshold, let's just say you're in a premium or a platinum card and you drop to a 6, now you were a 720 forever. Now you're a 620 or 660, whatever the threshold is.
Yes,
they might now lower your limits. And then what happens there is now that your limits are lowered, you have less utilization. And if that happens, your score can go down a little more. So what ends up happening, we call it a downward spiral. You don't want your score to be affected that much if you're going to use your credit cards to pay your bills. Just make sure you're smart about it. Because if you're not, it could cause a downward spiral where other cards are now closing and also limiting your available credit, which kind of stinks.
Yeah, by the way, that happened to us because we pay everything on the credit card and then pay the credit card off completely at the end of the month. So every month it's a zero balance. We have no interest. So we did have a whole bunch of purchases last month that were a lot more than we usually do.
The norm.
So that, that went up and it reported, and we went down 50 points.
And you monitor your credit, so
Right. And my wife's like, why are we down 50 points? And they're like, everything's paid off. And now that you're saying the day that they reported, it was up high. Even though we pay it off at the end of the month, we got a zero balance at the end of every month.
Yeah, if that's the case and you don't need to, you don't have to wait till the end of the month to pay it, just pay him early.
Pay it off. Yeah.
That's it. Like your buddy too, if he's getting his balance even before he gets his bill, the quicker you pay it off, the quicker it's going to report. Not report, but at least the balance when they do report will be a lot lower.
Got it. Okay. So basically, usually
the 15th and the 30th.
Yep. Well, just call your credit card and find out when they report and just pay it off before that.
Got it. Nice tip. That's a nice tip.
Is that tip 2 or tip 1? That was the first one.
Number tip 2. That's number 2. Tip number 2.
Going for the hat trick. There you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's some great information. But Eric, just before we go any further, can you tell the folks who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Well, the company name, which I think, is it in the right direction? Because if I look at my Zoom, it's backwards.
Yes, no, it's there. Better qualified.
It's there. Better qualified. I got a lot of these shirts because they're comfortable, golf shirts. So I just happen to wear a red one today. I feel like Tiger. Better Qualified's been around little over 16 years now. And we specialize in business and consumer credit. So we build it, we fix it, we monitor it, everything related to, the credit report for both. We talked about the consumer a lot, but also for businesses. My partner's been on TV and radio for the last, got to be 8-9 years now. He gets called in a lot for anything that's breaking within the space of, credit or even identity theft, or sometimes he gets called for other things too, surprisingly, but he's pretty good. They call him the nation's credit repairman, Paul Oster, and we've been partners since the beginning of time. And that's it. I tell everybody, we do anything and everything revolving around credit, whether or not it's, questions about debt, whether it's not questions about charge-offs, lates, foreclosures, forbearances, everything revolving around the credit report.
Nice. And so you've been doing this for a while. You've seen the changes and, the ups and downs when it comes to that. But I know there's something that most people aren't familiar with, and that's the business credit arena, right?
Correct.
Because we always hear, Experian and all the credit bureaus and all that. But business credit, if you have a business, is something that you should be aware of. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, business credit, I stumbled upon it probably, I think maybe 11 years after we were in business for about 5 years, just by watching back then some YouTubes and reading some information that I was getting, just going, oh my God, I didn't even know about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty much everything on your tax ID, or, like a FICO score is based on your social security number. A tax ID is like your social, but for businesses. So there's a couple different agencies, Dun & Bradstreet being the biggest. They report a DUNS number. Experian is second. And between the two of those, you really need to establish it more than anything else. Sometimes there's issues of fixing it, but most of the stuff that at least small business guys do, they do personal in the beginning. So, if they hurt themselves or if the business doesn't do right, it's affecting them personally. In the business credit world, it's on the tax ID. So what really catapulted us in that realm was a client that, I'll go into the steps first and then I'll tell about the client story, but there's different tiers that you have to build, right? So you're doing everything based on your tax ID. The tax ID then gets you to another tier. Tier one you might be able to get a couple of vendors for credit lines for $200-300. Then you're going to get in month one or two in between sometimes different vendors and different extent lines of credit. So lines of credit from, let's just say in the beginning, 500, now you're going to get 1,000, now you're going to get 2,000, now you're going to get 3,000. Then after 3 or 4 months, now you're going to be able to get some credit cards. Now you're going to be able to get some other things that are bigger, like let's just call Amazon. Amazon will give you a business credit line to go purchase on Amazon and use that business credit card wherever you want, which is kind of awesome as long as you shop through, Amazon. Who doesn't do that already for their business? But most of the time we do it on a personal credit card, which we just found out affects your personal score if you jack it up. Like, our man Oscar just said, his score went down 50. Why would you want that? So on the business credit side, it doesn't affect your personal score, right? But really what catapulted it for us was, it's got to be 8-9 years now, a client called us up and said, hey man, I just want to thank you guys. My business credit's awesome. I just got a truck on my tax ID. I said, what? A truck? I never knew you could get a truck on your tax ID and not, have it tied to your social security number. It was always the case. And he goes, no. Call my friend Joe Torre. I said, Joe Torre, baseball guy? Come on. It was just a guy with the same name. But anyway, I could bore you with the long details, but the funniest part about the whole story is I still didn't believe it, even though the guy spoke to the guy. I said, what do you need? Oh, you just gotta have a good business credit score, which we already had, and I built it. And he said, send me the name of the company, send me the tax ID and all this other good stuff, and we'll see what it's all about. Okay, sounds too good to be true, but okay. My client said he got a car, whatever. Maybe he doesn't understand what he signed is tying into this personal, but he swears it was nothing to do with personal. And so does the sales guy. I go, okay. I tell my partner, I sent him, I sent the stuff and said, my partner, we're getting a car on our tax ID. At least I think we are. So next day, Joe Torre calls us back and said, you've been pre-approved for a $45,000 car. I still don't believe it, but okay, that sounds great. Because I know what happens in the back of the finance room when they pull you in there and then you're all hyped up to you want to get that car and you're excited and they're like, well, we pulled your credit report. No, I know you already pulled my credit report. Before I came in here is usually what I say, but what's you going to do to me now? Because let's negotiate, right? So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. He's going to tell me, whatever. So, but even before I got in there, my partner and I said to Joe Torre, let's go. What do we got to do? He goes, come out and pick out a car. So I was out and I still never forget it because it was funny. I called Paul. I said, dude, we're getting a car. He goes, come on, man, you sure? I go, we got to go out to the lot, pick it out. So we go to, I think it was in Edison, and it's about 40 minutes from here. And we go together. And we drive up there, we get there and meet Joe, and Joe's all excited. And I'm still thinking this is just a story, right? And he goes, go out into the lot, pick a car. And Paul and I look at each other, and the first car we see was a blue, like kind of our logo blue, Equinox. Didn't look at the car, didn't test drive it, nothing else. I looked at Paul. I said, dude, let's get that car. And he goes, yeah, because we still didn't think we were going to get the car in the end of the day. We thought we were leaving the lot together in our car because some shim sham was going to happen. So he goes, and the sales guy goes, you want to take it for a test drive? I go, no, we just want to purchase the car. Let's go to the back room and purchase the car, because I still don't believe it. I'm telling him. We go to the back room, and the guy's like, going through our things and whatever. He says, glad you guys get the car. Just, these are the final numbers, and you got to pay. It was like $3 or $4 grand in extra fee or whatever for something. And I go, nah, I'm not paying anything. And we're not going to pay anything. He's like, well, and I go, let me see the paperwork anyway. So personal guarantee, and whatever. In the end of the day, I left not believing anything, but kind of believing it at this point. We didn't have to pay as much as what he wanted anyway. I left Paul there and drove home in my own car. He hadn't finished the paperwork yet. And he calls me 20 minutes later. He goes, bro, you left me there. I go, yeah, the guy was going to give you the car at that point, whatever it took, as long as we're not personally guaranteeing the stuff. We need a car. So we got a car. So it's the end, funny story. But anyway, once that happened, I got very excited to go back to our own business customers and say, hey, listen, there's the ability to get cars. I just didn't know it could happen. So if you need a car, truck, any of that stuff, you can get it on your tax ID. And we still just, I just got one. I just got a new car, and Paul just got a new car. Turned other ones in. We turned out that Equinox, which was a 6-year payment plan. I think we got it through Wells. We finally paid it off. Actually, it was a little while ago. It was like last year, but he just ended up getting a different car.
Wow.
But that's power, and that debt doesn't go on my personal. That debt and that payment doesn't go on my personal credit report. So now it's not going to hurt me in the beginning. It ends up being a good credit line, but let's just say I wasn't making the payments.
Right. Let's say something happened. Yeah.
They come get the car. It has nothing to do with me. Yeah. My business credit's going to get messed up, but it's not attached to me personally, which is huge.
Wow. That's huge.
Yep.
That is huge.
Because of all the stuff we've been doing referred wise over the years and years, I've always been a technology kind of geek guy where I like things. I mean, I'll look at it and say, that's easy. If it's, as long as it's easy, I'm not, technical, but if I see value in it, I've always been at the mindset that whoever refers me business, I want you to have it because I have it and I can take care of it for you. Right. So whether it's mobile websites, QR codes, text messaging, all that stuff I've done for our realtors or our mortgage guys over years and years and years of doing it. And if you guys have been paying attention, because I know you like to go out, Oscar likes to eat.
Yes, we do.
You do too, right? We like restaurants.
Can you tell?
You can only cook so many meals at home without looking at your wife and say, we just had this 3 days ago and not get smacked, right? So, going to a restaurant, everybody's using QR codes now because no one wants to touch a menu that somebody else touched prior to. And I had this discussion today with another company that's next to us. And they were, I don't want to say they're eavesdropping, but they heard me talking about QR codes. And one of our processors like, I hate QR, and she's younger. She's like, I hate QR codes. I said, what do you hate QR codes? The only reason you hate a QR code is when you scan it at a restaurant, if it brings you to some bullshit that, excuse me. As long as if it takes you to a bad page. Right. It's a calendar, or not a calendar, but a menu that you can't read, and it's difficult. Some of them have it. But anyway, and she said, well, they should have regular menus. I said, most have regular menus. I got an argument with my mother for her 80th birthday. We took to her place, and she hates QR codes too. She put it on her phone. I can't. I said, Mom, calm down. This restaurant, they should have. I said, they probably do. Did you ask? And no, of course. I said, your blood pressure, calm down. You're 80. It's okay. You can look at my phone. It's very big. But I'm sure they have menus, and most places have menus, at least the ones that I'm going to. They just don't give them out to everybody unless you ask, right? But anyway, we've made a lot of good technology back ends for myself that I try to do it for all our customers. And on the business side, I say to everybody, if you're not using a QR code or if you're not using text messaging for call capture, you're missing out. I mean, the call to actions nowadays, the messaging you can do on social media, you can make a lot of different things happen, whether it's, you could ask questions, you could have, giveaways, you could have coupons, you could do a bunch of stuff. And all of that stuff needs to be looked at, especially for our small business, partners and also friends. I say to everybody, it doesn't take long. What's your mobile site? Let me take a peek. Oh my God, it's terrible. What are you doing? Oh, I haven't done anything. Well, why you haven't done anything? Oh, I got screwed last time. I had to pay a guy 300, 500,000, all these numbers because I've been there. How many times I've given a guy a deposit, and the end of the day, they can't do what I got to do, and it's fighting to get the money back, or I get screwed at it. It's just, again, anything technology. I'm not saying I'm the guy. I'm not, the guy, but I can get you to a next level on the business side that will assist you in getting business. That's it.
Man, that's so cool. So you're not just a credit guy. You also help people with different.
Credit's my bread and listen, is the bread and butter, and I love helping. We got
Mhm.
testimonials, videos from guys getting homes, guys getting cars, getting from friends of mine that called me like, I have a 400 something score. And I'm like, calm down, it'll be okay. To them getting a car, which is a good thing, right?
Now we got to call Eric Swiss Army knife Stuerkin.
I just get excited about helping. And if I can help with a platform that I've built that takes me seconds to make something happen for somebody, literally, I could give you a keyword that you want somebody to text into that'll capture and send your message, whether it's a landing page, a jot form, whatever you want to that person to make them feel like, holy smokes, but now you got their cell phone. If someone's not responding to your message by however you're getting them on their cell phone, they don't want your product or you're doing it too much. But if it's a qualified person, it's the greatest means of communication that exists. Nobody looks at their, I don't look at, my problem is, again, with all the great filters now for email, a lot of stuff gets put in spam.
Right.
Like I had a lady today that I haven't heard back from, like, what's today? Wednesday, probably like Friday of last week. And I've been sending emails. Hey, how you doing? Did you get my thing? No response. I'm thinking, okay, she's on vacation. Today, I couldn't take it anymore because it's been 4 or 5 days and it's stuff that's happening on Friday. I called her up and she's like, no, I haven't got anything. I said, look up my email. It's from here. Please go to your spam and just do a search. Oh my God, there's 17 emails you sent me. I'm like, yeah, the first one was the only important one. The other ones after that, I was just trying to get a response.
Right.
So by text message, no one's going to avoid a text. And I don't mean avoid. They're not going to miss a text message because it's, again.
And again, the filters are getting really wild. I have the trash, I have the clutter, and I have deleted emails. I found out an email that I wanted kept getting put into the deleted email.
Oh, I know.
Automatically. So I had to go back and change everything. But again, you're looking at all these baskets you got to search through to find your text. It's on your phone.
On your phone, coming from another number that you could reply to, that you get a response pretty quick. And if you don't get a response pretty quick, you shouldn't be in business.
Right.
I don't mean you have to be the guy doing it, but have, I try to preach to my own salespeople. I call it SOP. What's SOP? It's not, strategic operation procedure, right? It's seem on point. What does that mean? Just seem like you're on point. You don't even have to know the answer. If someone texts you something, you don't know the answer, just write back, I'm on it.
Right.
And then get the answer.
Right.
It's much better than being on the phone and like, hang on a second, let me figure it out. Text messaging is the greatest thing ever. You can go do what you got to do and write back in 5 minutes and you're still super fast. If you get back in 10 minutes, you're even super fast. You get back 2-3 days later, I say to myself, oh, I hope you were on vacation. But the scary part is the younger gen, they have no patience. So if you don't play in that league, you'll lose business with somebody else that's faster. So that's why I just say seem on point, because as long as you respond, people will give you a day. They'll give you 2 days. As long as you got the response, they know it's, so many people now are like we just talked about with the filters, they're afraid that the person didn't get the message. So by text message, if I send a text and somebody writes back, I'm on it, I'm good. Now get back to me. Now, if you don't get back to me with an answer and I got to remind you in 3 or 4 days, hey, maybe things slipped up, but with calendar services and everything else between Alexa, between Google, you can make reminders right on the fly.
Absolutely. Well, I can't say her name now because most likely I'll get a response.
Yeah, no, I did. She turned blue. I was waiting, but I put, you in the car. I reminded myself. I'd say, I don't want to say it now, but I just said, make sure reminder at 12 o'clock to get on the Zoom. Boom, boom.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go.
So just seem on point. That's it. You don't have to be on point. You could be out drinking. You could be slower. I don't mean, I like to have fun. So I go out to eat, a drink. I do all those fun things. I work out like a machine so I could do all that. But even when I'm doing that stuff, if I write back, I'm on it within a couple seconds. I mean, unless you're in meditation mode and you're on holiday and you're reading and you're doing all this stuff, there's only one thing I like to do, and it's to prosper and to make it so that, my mind is going and I'm not bored and I'm helping other people. And I just find in the years of me doing life, the quicker I get back to somebody, the more often they're happy. They refer business and they're like, holy smokes, I got that guy. He's a beast, right? You want to be called, a schlep or lazy? No, at least I don't. Some people might that are retired and have, maybe 1,000 coins of Ethereum today. You guys looking at that? Holy smokes. Busting out.
That's Eric, folks. Man, but listen, you know what? I'm glad everybody didn't just get a credit advice today. Got some business advice as well. And
it goes fast. It's already 12:40. Holy smokes.
I know it exactly, man. Exactly.
I gotta get tip 3 though. We only got 2 tips.
That was it. That was it.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Was SOP 3? SOP?
No, cryptocurrency.
Oh, I don't know. Listen, I own it a lot cheaper. I'm not telling you to jump in here, but it does look pretty tempting.
It does, doesn't it? So tell us about this one. I want to feature this. I like to feature this when you're on your app, your fitness app.
My fitness app. Cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
your fitness app.
Things have gone a little further from the last time.
Okay.
So to talk about crypto, right? Mm-hmm. Crypto, we don't know what the value. I mean, you could associate what value is and all this other good stuff. It's backed by gold. It's backed by. Well, how about my coin through the app? So my app is called 1 minute before. Mm-hmm. 1 minute before every hour, you get a notification to tell you to do an exercise at your desk, wherever you are. You don't need weights, and you're going to do it for 1 minute, and you're going to track it, and you're going to tell the app how many you got, how many you did, whether it's calf raises, shoulder shrug, whatever you got. Shoulder shrug actually would be this way. Shoulder presses. Shrug, any exercise press. You're going to do for a minute. For doing an exercise, you get a 1 minute coin. And I'm going to tout this, and it's the first time I think this exists. It's going to be a health coin. So if you're doing the exercises, you get a coin. At the end of the day, you get a piggy bank of coins. What are those coins worth? Well, some companies, because we've white labeled it for companies, make it for every coin you have, you get a minute off of work. So if you do 270 exercises in 1 month, you're getting about 3.5 hours off for the month. 3.5 hours, if I'm working at a desk and, I'm an employee somewhere, that's a lot of good time that you can get things done that you couldn't get done during the week. So they incent the people to work out. What my goal is to make those coins real money. And I'm going to do it through crypto. Ooh. I'm going to get a philanthropy to fund an account that's going to pay people to work out. And then we're going to get it covered by insurance companies that realize that through the data of what happens to somebody after they use the 1 minute before app for 2 weeks, you see that whatever they start with, let's just say it's calf raises. How many calf raises can you do right now in 60 seconds? You're going to find out, no matter how much in shape you are, that you don't do it for a minute, no matter what kind of exercise you're doing. And at about 30 to 40 seconds, you're going to go, oh my God, my legs are burning. And I don't suggest you start out like that. I'm just telling you from my experience. Just do it at a comfortable level. But whatever you start with, so say it's 20, in 2 weeks, you're going to be at 40, right? So you get double. That's a good number. If you can double 100% of what you did from the beginning through any kind of business, you're on the right path, I would think, right? So in 2 weeks, you get that kind of result for any of the exercises you do. What tends to happen after that, you start to eat better, right? You start to pay attention more to your health because now you're feeling muscles that you haven't felt for however long you haven't done exercise. A lot of people don't do anything, which still amazes me that 85% of the country doesn't exercise every day.
Wow.
Back to SOP, you want to see them on point. The easiest way to be on point for yourself is to work out, because everything else, meditation, reading, coaching, all the other stuff is that much better as long as you do something physical, because there's so much stuff that goes on in your brain from all the other organs and functions in your body that get better from exercising. So my passion is exercise. I can leave as much money as I want to whoever and do all that stuff. But what are they going to remember me for? I want it to be that I got more people to move around every day and change their lifestyle. Because in the end of the day, if I can get the companies to white label it and give their value to the crypto coin or whatever we're going to end up doing with it, and we can get even 5 or 10% of the people to start doing something, right? They're going to improve their life. They're going to improve their health. The health insurance companies are going to get better off. They're not going to have these extreme, premiums that they have to cover because they don't do nothing. The statistics of sitting all day and not doing kind of an exercise are mind blowing. There's a ton of them on the site.
Sitting is the new smoking.
Yes. And it's, I have a friend that's 39 years old. He's an internet kid. Like, he grew up behind a computer. He's got veins already, varicose veins in his legs from sitting there all day long. At
Wow.
39. He's like, yeah, I'm having issues with my circulation. I go, that's because you sit at your desk all day. What's your workout plan? I really don't have time to.
No, you got to make
Tell me you don't
time.
have time.
You got to
I
make
tell
time.
everybody else
Yeah.
a good way to get into a better lifestyle, because everyone says, I can't wake up. I can't do it in the morning. Just wake up this week 15 minutes earlier, just 15. And next week, another 15, and the next week 15. And by the end of that month, you'll be up an hour earlier. See what you get done at that hour early. Unless you have a job that you got to take a train and you got to commute and you got all that stuff. Even then, unless you have, kids that are brand new and they don't let you sleep. Hey, listen, I get all that stuff. But if you can get up 15 minutes earlier for a week and end up being 60 minutes in a month, everything changes in the morning. Everything.
I'm gonna tell you something that that I've been doing. And that is, I've been limiting the amount of times I use the word can't. Because most of the time I say the word can't is just because I haven't made up my mind to do it.
Yep.
I got a great answer for that. When someone says I can't do it, like, okay, if I had a $10,000 check for you when you get that done, could you do it? They're like, oh yeah. So it's not that you can't, is that you won't.
Most of the time, that's what it is. It's like, you got to think of it as a priority. I've recently, and that's not too recently, but I've recently decided that my health is important. Right? Most people haven't made that decision. They just think, okay, I want to make money.
What typically happens, and what sets most people off, they get a loss. Mm-hmm. Somebody passes or something bad happens to somebody, even themselves, right? How many times have you heard a story of a guy has a heart attack? He's 52 or 55 or 48, right? Next thing you know, he's like, oh, that's it. I'm on a health kick because the doctor said if I don't, I'm going to die. Mm-hmm. I got kids, or I got whatever. I still got a lot left in me that I want to give back. Because all of us at the end of the day, as you get older, as both of you guys know, what do you want to do? You want to give back to the ones that are younger than us to help them not go through the same stuff that we did. And if we have the answer to that, I'm telling you, fitness is above and beyond the number one thing you can do for everything else good in your life. And it's something you can control.
That's it.
15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour. Now, what are you doing? I don't have this. I don't have that. Well, you can do the app all day long, right? So I push you to do that. But let's just say you wake up and the first thing you do is get a glass of water, maybe a cup of coffee. You're going to do 100 push-ups. You're going to do 100 sit-ups, and you're going to do 100 squats. Might take you 15 minutes, might take you 30 minutes, but so what? You're not going to get there tomorrow, but let's just say you do 15 or you do 10 to start, 10, whatever the number is, just do something. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm running the marathon. I never did a marathon before. And my buddy called me up and said, and we talked about it forever. I've always wanted to do it. I just never committed to doing it because it's training. I'm not going to go out there and walk. I refuse to do it if I'm not going to do it and run. So he calls me up and says, bro, we got to do the marathon. I said, you can't get tickets. And he goes, no, I got tickets. And one of his kids has autism. I didn't realize he had autism. I don't see him enough. He lives, a couple hours away. I said, and this was a Friday. And I said, all right, give me the weekend to think about it, because I know it's a big commitment. I got a lot of stuff going on, and it's only 70. This is not this past Friday, the Friday before. So last week, Monday, he calls me up. And he says, I got to do it. And you got to be by me, because we talked about this our whole life. And I said, all right, you know what? Give me a couple of minutes. And he's like, couple of minutes. I said, yeah, let me go. Of course, go talk to my wife. I said, hon, I'm going to prepare for the marathon. She says, what? You're not a runner. You'll never finish. And I went like this.
Well, that's great motivation right there.
That's all I had to hear. Thank you. I call my buddy. I go, and right in front of her, I go, I'm in. Let's do it. So I started running that was Monday. I started running Tuesday. Yeah. Right. Tuesday I did 3 miles every day, every other day, because I want to give my day that one rest, the body in between that rest. I'm going a different higher mile. So today was 7 miles. The 3 miler was kind of easy. And I don't want to say it was easy, but my body wasn't beat up yet. When I got from Tuesday to Thursday, when I ran right at about 2 miles, I'm like, holy smokes, my calves, my Achilles tendon, and I work out, so I'm good, breathing and all that was fine. But I had pains in my legs where I felt like spears were hitting me. I'm like, I got to stop. Wow. So I walked, and I at least did the 4 miles. Then I
Mhm.
did 5 miles, and 5 miles was getting better. But today, after the 7, I don't have the pain in my calf because now I've worked up to it and I've made those muscles that I haven't touched or really utilized, because running distance is a lot different than running sprints. I love sprints, but it's 2 different animals.
Right.
And I tell you what, today I feel real good. I'm excited
Real
to do
good.
not tomorrow, but my next one will be 8. And I'm just going to go to like 13 and then tailor it somewhere around there and come back down. There's like a lot of different programs to be able to do it. But I'm 69 days today. It's on the 7th. So we figure 69 days. Let's
That's
do it.
awesome, man. That's awesome.
So, and what got me to do it is he said, listen, we're getting older and it's not going to get easier next year. Trust me. I'm like, you know what? But the being told not to be, you're not going to do something, use that for yourself. And I only play, but I say that to my wife, and most of the time she's positive, but her reaction to me not being able to finish was just so great. It was like I was in high school trying to prove a point. You know what? I'm going to make that football team. I'm going to make that and show you. And then, I'm going to be the captain, and then you're going to be the queen. It was pretty funny. I laugh about it today. I tell most of my friends what really pushed you to do it. And I said, my wife.
She probably knew it was going to push you too. So.
That's what she had no idea too. I had told a few other people I was doing it, or I was thinking about doing it over the weekend. I hadn't told her at all, and it was just funny.
His wife's thinking, how do I get him out of the house for a few hours?
Well, that's what I had to do. It's summertime down here, which the only good thing is I do it early, but we got beaches, we got boating, we got ocean, we got all that stuff. So, everyone knows it's prepared for a marathon. You got to get up to that 13, maybe that 18 mile, those long distance where you want to do on the weekends. I haven't hit that yet. I'm not going to do it yet. Not until my legs are, around after 8-9 miles. I'll figure if my Achilles get better and my calves are better like they were today and the last time was pretty good, I'm golden.
Yoga.
Yeah, that's a funny thing too. A lot of people, I've told a lot of people over the last couple of days, because they ask, how you doing? And I say the same thing. I feel great, aside from my Achilles and my calves. And everybody's reaction is the same thing. It makes me laugh every single time. Got to make sure you're stretching those. You stretching your legs? You stretching your calves? No, not at all. I'm going out there cold because I
just start running.
No, I don't even warm up. Of course I stretch, but still my legs aren't used to it. So, it's probably been at least 10 minutes.
Here's a point. If you had to run 3 miles now, he's like,
joke.
Doing it,
joke.
Without
I run right through it. Awesome. And that's only 8 days just because I'm in shape. I know my body needs to adjust to those muscles, but once I get over that muscle fatigue, my breathing's great. I feel like I'm going to crush.
That reminds me of.
I got to just, again, it's easier when you do a marathon that you're not going to win, because if I was trying to win something, I would go about the training a little different. Like I would speed up. Like right now I'm running at a 9:13 pace. Right. So in the old days, I'm like, I got to get faster. I'm going to win it. But I'm not in that mode. I just want to finish. So I keep it at the same speed. So it's kind of cool to say, because now you're watching the miles go by with the clock, because it's always the same. And you just say, 4 miles? Shit, last time at 4 miles, my legs were burning. But today it's nice. And in the past, if I was finding it easier, what I would do is just turn up the speed, but I'm not going to do that. Now I'll just extend the distance to say, beat your body up with this distance at the same pace, and then just hopefully push it to be able to do it.
That reminds me, when I worked in Manhattan, I worked on the 9th floor. And one day, both elevators broke down. So I had to walk the 9 flights. I made it to the 3rd floor, like, oh my, I can't breathe. I had to stitch the whole, I said, never again taking the elevator. I'm going up the stairs every day. A couple of months later, I'm running up the stairs, beating the elevators up. And then, I'd come in from lunch with somebody and they're like, where are you going? I said, I'm taking the stairs. I'm like, all right, we'll see you upstairs. I'd be waiting at the door of the elevator, like, hey, it's about time you made it here.
That's awesome.
And from
but like you said, that was the event that made you do it, because you went up the steps and said, shit, I went 3 flights.
I'm absolutely out of shape.
Yeah. Sometimes we just need that motivation, man.
Well, I got to pay. Listen, I got a bank account of some crypto coins, boys. I can give them to you. All you got to do is 9 exercises a day for 1 minute. Come on. What's your excuse? I said, everybody now, if they don't do it, I said, what's your excuse? Oh, well, I have conference calls and I'm this and I'm, well, it has a pause button on. So when you hit pause, it brings back the ones you missed. You can get those done anytime you want. Just do it
Wow.
for a minute. Just it. You can't
All
have an
right,
excuse. If
you
you
shamed
can't
me
do it
into
for
opening my
if you
app.
can't do 9 minutes of working out, you're going to thank me 5, 10, 15 years from now. And if you don't do it, you're going to look back and go, holy smokes, all I had to do was that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Especially if you have
just that
kids, because
simple.
when your kids get you, listen, if you can't follow your kids around and do all the stuff with your kids,
Yeah, man. Eric, listen, man, it's always great to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on today, bro.
thanks for
we
having me,
got
guys.
so
So
much
it's
from
always fun.
this.
Time goes, listen, I always say in an hour when we start, how am I going to talk about for what for an hour? But do it.
I
Right?
know. We
Like
get
your
through
marathon training. Now we got to try to keep you down. to
Yeah,
an hour.
baby. Whew.
it.
I'm gonna have to get up. I found here's my only problem with the marathon training. I work out first through my HIIT class or my whatever you want to call it. And then I'm doing it after, which is okay because I like it, because during the race, I'm not going to have that class before. So I'll have more energy. So I'm trying to do the worst case scenario, but it pushes me an hour into my routine. So now I'm starting my routine a little later. I'm getting anxiety about that, not having stuff done that I usually have done at that time. So now I'm going to a 5:15 class instead, and I'll run at 6 and save that
that's
hour.
nice.
I'm just going earlier.
So yeah, you wake up probably the same time I do.
We'll get up 15 minutes earlier this week. Come on, you'll go Wednesday to Wednesday. Come on. You'll thank me, baby. I'm telling you. Anyway, guys, it's always fun.
Yeah, man.
Have a good Labor
Absolutely.
Day. And hey, listen, if you have credit issues, you know how to reach out to us. And if you have eviction issues, I got to learn from Oscar. So I don't really know the defense's attorneys, I'm sure, or listen, that's going to be a huge industry. So pay attention to that. If there are outs of eviction, which I don't know if there are. I mean, if it's with the courts already, the only out is if they stamp that stuff, you're pretty much cooked.
Yes.
That's why you got to know ahead of time
Yep.
what's coming up. You can't. You don't want to be blindsided.
Absolutely. So everyone, thank you so much again for watching. Of course, we just introduced you to Eric, the credit man, Stuerkin. So give him a call. The information is in the description, and we will see you again next week. Take care, everybody.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye.